My name's Alex. I'm 44. I live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I married Nicole 3 years ago. She had a son from her first marriage, Jaden. He was 14 then, 17 now. I have a daughter of my own, Ellie. She's 11. Everything about her is soft. Her voice, her drawings, the way she stands on tiptoe to stir batter. I used to think her kindness could be enough. I don't anymore. I never came into this house swinging. I didn't claim thrones that weren't mine. I didn't demand to be dad. I was just there, steady. A man in the doorway with calloused hands, showing up every day while the ghost of another man hung in the corners. Nicole got the house in her divorce. 2 bedrooms upstairs, 1 guest room that became Ellie's. Jaden already had posters on the wall, his old Xbox stacked beneath the TV. There were cracks in the walls no one had ever bothered to patch. I thought, I can fix that. I thought, I can build something here. I added myself to the mortgage 6 months in. Quietly, without ceremony. I paid the gas, the electricity, the internet. I put Jaden on my phone plan when his kept getting shut off. Nicole worked part-time at a salon. Tips were inconsistent. Her ex sent child support only when guilt flared up or the court nudged him. I didn't complain. Not once. I told myself this was what commitment looked like. Not flowers or anniversaries, but paperwork. Bills. Grocery runs. Staying up late fixing the dishwasher with a flashlight in my mouth while everyone else slept. Jaden barely spoke to me for the first year. When he did, it was through his mother. Mom, tell Alex I need the car. Mom, ask him if the Wi-Fi is working. I told myself he was a kid. I told myself he'd come around. But he didn't. Nicole would smile and say, he's adjusting. Every time. For 3 years. And I nodded because I believed love was patience. Then one night the illusion broke. It was a Wednesday. I'd gotten home late. Cold fingers, sore back. Work boots dragging sawdust across the tile. I'd stopped to pick up dinner because Nicole texted that she was too tired to cook. Jaden sat at the table with earbuds in, scrolling his phone. Ellie set the plates. She always did. She was the only one who ever thanked me. We ate in silence, the way people do when they've stopped pretending to be a family. Halfway through his second helping, Jaden looked up and said it. Flat voice. Empty eyes. Guys like you just pay bills and disappear. That's all. No malice. No build-up. Just that smirk. A slow, practiced little twist of the mouth that said he knew exactly what he was doing. He dropped it like a cigarette on dry grass and watched to see if it would catch. Nicole didn't say a word. She didn't even look at me. I chewed, swallowed, and said nothing. I scraped my plate and left the table. I stood in the garage for 20 minutes staring at the wall, hands shaking. That should have been my warning. That was the first crack in the glass. But I didn't leave. I didn't rage. I told myself it was a bad night. I told myself he was a teenager. I told myself everything but the truth. The truth came later. The following Saturday, Ellie was in the kitchen baking cupcakes for a school fundraiser. The sun was out. Music played from the speaker. Something light, something bubbly. She was wearing a pink apron with cartoon bunnies on it. A birthday gift from me. She had her hair in pigtails and flour smudged on her cheek. She was in her world. A little pocket of joy, untouched. I stood nearby, fixing a broken cabinet hinge. I remember thinking how peaceful it felt. That rare kind of silence that hums rather than screams. Then Jaden came in. He had 2 of his friends with him. Boys I'd never liked. The kind with sideways hats and twitchy hands. They laughed before they said anything, like the punchline had already landed. Jaden saw her apron and said, "What is this? Some kind of stepdad talent show?" One of the friends started filming. Ellie froze. Jaden leaned on the counter, grinning. "Look at you," he said. "Stepdad's little clown doing a show." I crossed the kitchen in 2 steps. I grabbed the phone out of the kid's hand, deleted the video, and told them all to get out. Jaden rolled his eyes. "It was a joke." "She's 11, I said. "Get out." They left, slowly, like they wanted me to know I hadn't scared them, like they still had power here. Ellie didn't cry. Not then. She turned off the speaker and went to her room. 20 minutes later, I found her sitting on the floor, her apron in a heap beside her. She said, "I don't want to bake anymore." Something broke in me then. Quietly, fatally. I saw it all too clearly. The shape of things. I had become their mule, their financial spine, their emotional garbage disposal. The silent figure holding the house together while they took turns snapping my daughter in half. I sat at the dining table that night alone. A beer in my hand. The good kind, the one I only bought for special weekends. Tasted like rot. Nicole came down eventually. She asked if I was okay. I said yes. I didn't bring it up. Not Jaden, not the video, not the smirk. What was the point? I knew now. She'd never protect Ellie. She'd never protect me. She was tired. She was used to chaos. She mistook it for normal. And me? I had spent 3 years walking on nails just to buy people dinner. Jaden didn't apologize. Not for the video. Not for the words. Not for anything. He went about his week like nothing had happened. Nicole didn't mention it. Maybe she didn't know. Maybe she did and chose silence. Either way, the message was clear. This was never my house. It was a place I was allowed to fund, but never to belong to. And Ellie? Ellie was never safe here. Not really. Not when cruelty wore sneakers and called itself a joke. So I made a decision. Quiet. Cold. Like closing a valve. No more debates. No confrontations. No yelling in kitchens or pointing fingers over dinner. Just action. They smirked. They mocked. They filmed. They laughed. But the laughter was about to dry up. Because I wasn't going to yell. I was going to disappear, not from the house. Not yet. First, I would disappear from their comfort. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't slam a door or demand a family meeting. I didn't write some dramatic letter or beg for decency. I just got quiet. The next morning, before anyone woke up, I sat down with my laptop and a cup of black coffee. The kind Ellie said always smelled like burnt socks. I opened every account I had tied to this house. Every digital umbilical cord that kept the circus alive. First, the Wi-Fi. Gone. I changed the password. Set the network to private. I created a new one under a fake name just for Ellie and me. Second, phone plans. I logged in, saw both lines, Jaden's and Nicole's, and removed them. Ellie stayed. She needed safety. The rest of them? They could scream into the void. Third, the mortgage. Cancelled autopay. It wasn't late yet. I wasn't trying to hurt Nicole. I just wasn't going to carry her. Not anymore. Home insurance, car insurance, utilities, Netflix, Spotify, Hulu, DoorDash. All of it. Cut. They lived in a palace of invisible payments I had built with my spine. I had only just realized it. Jaden's car? Registered under my name. His precious 2008 Civic? Chipped paint. Duct-taped bumper. Sticker that said Drift King. Wasn't even his. I drove it down to the DMV and revoked his permissions. New keys in my pocket. And finally, the college savings account Nicole and I had opened together for Jaden. The one with only my deposits for the past 34 months. Closed it. Transferred the balance to Ellie's fund. A quiet shift of numbers. A transfer of loyalty. Of blood. When Ellie woke up, I made pancakes. I asked how she slept. She said she had a dream that our house was quiet. Just me and her, and a dog she'd never seen before. A good dream, she said. She smiled when I gave her extra syrup. It had been weeks since I'd seen her smile without apology. By 10 a.m., the chaos began. Jaden came downstairs holding his phone like a broken limb. "Why is there no Wi-Fi?" he barked. I sipped my coffee. "Ask someone who pays for it." He blinked, confused. "What?" Nicole walked in a minute later, her eyes on her screen. "Alex, my phone plan's been canceled. Did we forget to pay?" "We didn't forget," I said. "I just stopped." She stopped walking. "You what?" "I stopped paying for people who can't respect me or my daughter." The silence cracked, but nobody said a word. Jaden opened his mouth, closed it, then stormed upstairs. Nicole stayed frozen. Her screen still lit. I didn't follow. I didn't explain. Let them chase the silence for once. The next 2 days were strange. Jaden paced the house like a caged animal, trying to force old routines to still function. He asked his mom to hotspot him. He begged a neighbor to borrow Wi-Fi. He texted friends from school about some BS at home. His Civic sat in the driveway, locked. He tried the key twice. It didn't turn. Nicole confronted me that evening. Quiet voice. Tired eyes. Is this punishment? She asked. No, I said. It's math. If I'm nobody in this house, then I owe nobody anything. She opened her mouth, closed it again. Like Jaden. Same instinct. That night, Jaden left. Backpack over one shoulder, muttering something about staying with Ethan. I watched from the window as he stood outside, shivering slightly in the November wind, trying to make calls on borrowed Wi-Fi. When Ethan's car showed up, they sped off like they were escaping a prison. Good. Ellie helped me cook dinner. We made stir-fry. She chopped peppers with the focus of a surgeon. We sat down at the table, just us. She asked if she could play music. I said of course. She picked the same playlist from last week. She wore the apron again. The one with bunnies. She laughed that night. Really laughed. It sounded like something breaking open, like a window finally pushed free after years of being painted shut. Nicole didn't eat with us. She stood by the sink, scrolling her phone. Then she walked outside and made a call. I didn't ask who it was. Let her make her calls. Let her lean on ghosts. I was done being the one who bent to fit everyone else's comfort. The next morning, she sat at the table across from me. No makeup. No filter. I want to talk, she said. I nodded. She started softly. I didn't know it had gotten this bad. You didn't want to know. That's not fair. I leaned forward. It's not about fair. It's about visible. You saw him mock her. You heard him mock me. And you shrugged it off. For 3 years. He's a teenager, she said. No. He's a mirror. And he's reflecting exactly what this house told him. That I don't matter. That Ellie doesn't matter. That we're just tenants in your past. She looked down. Her hands shook. I never meant to make you feel that way, she whispered. But you did. A long silence. Then she asked, what happens now? I looked at her for a while. Really looked. Saw every line around her eyes. Every compromise she'd made to keep the peace. Not for me, not for Ellie, but for the idea of family. I'm not burning the house down, I said. But I'm done carrying it alone. She nodded. That night she cooked. First time in weeks. Ellie helped. They made chili. It wasn't great. But it was warm. Jaden didn't come back. He didn't call. No one mentioned him. I sat on the couch with Ellie afterward. We watched an old cartoon from my childhood. She rested her head on my shoulder. Midway through the episode, she said, I like it better when it's just us. I didn't say anything, just held her a little tighter. Nicole came down later, blanket over her shoulders. She sat across the room, not next to me, not part of the moment. I realized then, even now, she didn't know where to place herself. Not in my corner, not in his, just floating. By the weekend, the house was quiet. Not peaceful, not yet, but quiet. Jaden texted Nicole, asking when his phone would work again. She didn't answer in front of me. On Sunday, Ellie asked if we could go to the park. Just the two of us. I said yes. We walked the trail, fed ducks, sat on a bench watching the last leaves fall. She leaned against me, warm coat zipped to her chin. Then she asked, soft as snow, are we going to leave soon? I didn't answer, because I didn't know yet. But I knew this much. We had already started to disappear. Not in anger, not in drama, just in numbers, in decisions, in choosing peace over presence. And when the house finally noticed, when the silence settled in for good, they'd realize something. The man who paid the bills had stopped, and everything that depended on him was starting to fall. It was 3 days after Jaden left when Ellie came home and shut her bedroom door behind her. No music, no humming, just the soft sound of her backpack hitting the floor and a silence that carried weight. I knocked gently. She didn't answer, but she hadn't locked it. She never did. She sat on the floor by her bed, legs tucked beneath her. Her pink apron lay on her lap, twisted in her hands like a flag of surrender. Her eyes were red, her cheeks stained with tears that had already dried. "He said we don't belong here," she whispered, not looking at me. I knelt beside her. "Who?" "Jaden. The school today. He was outside. He saw me and came over. He said—" She paused, breathing through her nose, trying to hold herself together. "He said we're not real family. He said you and me were just temporary. That will be gone soon. That this house isn't ours." I sat there, frozen. Not angry, not shocked. Just empty. There it was. The final truth spoken out loud. I asked Nicole about it that night, after Ellie had gone to bed. We were in the kitchen, her sipping wine, me rinsing a plate. I said, "Did you know he said that to her?" She exhaled, long and slow. "He's still adjusting. 3 years. Still adjusting." I didn't speak. Couldn't. I went upstairs, packed Ellie's bag. Enough clothes for a few days. Then mine. Just the basics, essentials. I didn't slam drawers. I didn't make noise. I didn't write some dramatic goodbye. Just a note on the kitchen counter. Beneath the magnet that red family isn't blood. It's love. You can keep the house. I'm keeping my dignity. I left the front door unlocked, closed it behind me, and walked Ellie to the car. She didn't ask where we were going. She didn't cry. She just held my hand the whole drive. We got a modest apartment just outside town. 2 bedrooms. Peeling paint in the hallway. A view of a parking lot instead of trees. But it was quiet. Ours. No smirks. No ghosts. I bought Ellie a new desk, string lights for her wall, and a white bookshelf we built together on the floor with a screwdriver that kept slipping in my hand. She made a reading corner in the window with a pillow and a blanket and called it her nest. We went to the grocery store that weekend. She picked out pancake mix, strawberries, whipped cream in a can. Sunday morning, she made breakfast wearing the bunny apron again. And for the first time in months, she didn't look over her shoulder. Nicole called on the second day. I didn't answer. Then she texted, "We need to talk." Then, "Jaden's car won't start." Then, "Are you really going to ignore us?" I let them sit. A week later, she showed up at my job site. I was overseeing a drywall project. Saw her walking toward me through the dust and boots and plywood. She looked panicked, out of place, her heels sinking into gravel. "Jaden dropped out of school," she said before even saying hello. I didn't speak. "He said what's the point if he can't afford tuition? He's working at a gas station now. Says he hates it. The insurance on the house lapsed. I didn't know you'd stopped paying that too. The bank called this morning. They're threatening foreclosure." Still, I said nothing. Her voice broke. "Can you loan us some money? Just enough to get back on track?" That was when I pulled out my phone. I opened the banking app, showed her the transaction history, every payment I'd made over the last 3 years. Tuition, groceries, mortgage, phone bills, utilities, gas, insurance, allowances, even those DoorDash orders on Friday nights when they didn't feel like cooking. $78,936.41. "That wasn't a loan," I said. "That was history, and I left with it." She stared at the screen, at the numbers that had kept her world from crumbling. I walked past her, back into the dust and hammering and noise. My crew didn't even ask. They knew. You can smell a man's breaking point when you work with your hands. Later that night, Ellie sat beside me on the couch. We watched a baking show. She sketched cupcakes in a notebook, adding little faces and hats to each one. She said, "Can we get a dog?" "Maybe soon," I said. I watched her smile. Something fragile. Something healing. Nicole kept texting for another week. The tone changed. First it was guilt, then apology, then bitterness. "I didn't know you were this petty. He's still just a kid. We needed you." But she never once said sorry for Ellie. Never once mentioned the thing that broke it all. That's when I knew she hadn't learned a thing. I changed my number. Jaden's father finally reappeared. I heard. Tried to play savior, but he had less money than pride. The car insurance lapsed. Jaden had a minor accident. No coverage. Nicole had to sell the house. Moved into a one-bedroom rental near downtown. No yard. No room for bitterness. Jaden now works at a repair shop. Oil-stained hands. Angry eyes. Exactly what he feared becoming. Ellie asked me once if we'd ever see them again. I said, "Not unless they come with respect." She nodded. We planted a basil plant on the windowsill. It grew slowly, crooked at first, like it didn't trust the light. But it grew. It's been 8 months since we left. I still wake up before sunrise. Old habit. The kind that clings to your bones. I drink my coffee in silence while Ellie sleeps down the hall. Our apartment smells like cinnamon from the candle she insists on lighting every night, even in summer. She says it makes the place feel safe. I think she's right. We have routines now. Quiet ones. Ours alone. Pancakes every Sunday. We take turns flipping them, trying to land them perfectly without breaking the shape. Loser does the dishes. She almost always wins. I pretend not to notice. She joined the art club at school. Started bringing home drawings, cupcakes, forests, animals with glasses. She made a painting last month. A man and a girl standing under a tree. No faces, just silhouettes. I asked if it was us. She nodded. No words. Just that. I framed it. She has friends now. Real ones. Kids who don't laugh at aprons or bunny ears. They trade bracelets and stickers. She's found her rhythm again. Her light. It still flickers sometimes. She's young, but it's steady. And it's hers. As for me, I don't feel like a guest in my own life anymore. I stopped checking my old bank statements. Stopped wondering if Nicole would ever apologize. She didn't. I doubt she will. Some people confuse endurance with duty. They think if you stayed long enough, you must have deserved it. That you're to blame for your own erasure. But I know better now. I wasn't weak. I was loyal. Until loyalty turned to self-burial. Jaden lives with his father now. I heard through someone at work. The guy brings his Civic into the same garage where Jaden turns wrenches. Life has a strange way of folding in on itself. I wonder if he ever looks up from the hood of some stranger's car and remembers the man who bought him oil changes before he knew what a torque wrench was. I wonder if he thinks of Ellie. I don't wonder often. Nicole sold the house. I saw the listing online. Price dropped 3 times before it moved. I recognized the photos. The hallway I painted. The cabinets I fixed. The closet door Jaden kicked in after failing his driver's test. The deck where I grilled burgers while they ignored me. A whole life compressed into a gallery of images. Someone else lives there now. Good. Sometimes I catch myself thinking about the early days, when I believed I could build love from labor. When I thought showing up was enough. When I swallowed my pride like medicine, hoping it would cure someone else's silence. But you can't earn love from people who think your presence is a footnote. You can only give so much before it becomes theft from yourself. Ellie taught me that. One night, not long ago, she crawled into my bed after a nightmare. Said she dreamed we were back in the old house. But I couldn't speak. My mouth was sewn shut. She kept calling for me, but I couldn't answer. She was crying when she said it. I held her until she slept, and I swore never again. Never again would I stay quiet in a place that tried to swallow us whole. We still have that note I left. The one I wrote the night we left. You can keep the house. I'm keeping my dignity. It's folded in my drawer now, under my work gloves. A reminder. Ellie asked what dignity means. I told her, it's what you get back when you stop begging people to see you. She nodded like she understood. Maybe she does. Maybe that's enough. The truth is, I don't hate Nicole or Jaden. I don't wish them harm. I hope they find their own reckoning. I hope they stare long enough at what they lost and learn how to name it. But I won't be there to explain it. That's not my job anymore. I'm not a man you buy with thank yous. I'm not a man who smiles through being erased. I'm not the ATM in work boots. I'm a father. A real one. Because I finally chose respect over invisibility. I chose presence with purpose. I chose boundaries. And that's what love really is. Not sacrifice. Not suffering in silence. Not pouring yourself empty so someone else can stay full. Love is a line. And I drew mine. So tell me, would you have endured it? Or would you have walked when they told you in every possible way that you didn't belong?